Over the years, the number one indicator of someone who is going to switch to Linux from Windows were the ads that were on the operating system. Like, it pissed people off. But did you know that Linux has advertising on one of their, I guess you would call it a distribution? I'd call it a bastardized distribution, but just the same. What do I mean? Well, Vizio. Vizio has some TVs that have the Linux kernel in those TVs. It's basically like a cheap 4K big screen TV that Walmart sells, kind of how it goes. So I want to talk about it today because I think it's a very interesting topic. So I've been seeing like these Reddit posts over and over and over again. You know what? If I leave my Vizio TV idle, it plays calming nature video, calming music, and loops a message from the Trump admin telling illegal immigrants to GTFO over and over and over again. I've been hearing this, and so anyway, again, there's like a whole bunch of complaints about this, right? My TV started playing a video in full screen mode by itself. Like, what happened? Like, yeah, you have the scenic mode and this and the other. And what's going on is basically Vizio offers a bunch of free channels, and in order to offer those free channels, it has to show some ads. And, it's probably ads that you and I may not care for. Or maybe you do. I don't know. I just don't like seeing the ads. Maybe you do. I don't. I don't think that an operating system should have ads, but this isn't nearly as bad as I initially thought. And let me explain. Basically Walmart sells these TVs. They're cheap, and you get free channels with the TV, but they have to play ads. I guess that's not as bad. When I was first listening to this, it was like, oh my god, ads on an operating system, there shouldn't be ads on an operating system. I'm sorry, I just don't think there should be any ads whatsoever. But you're getting something, and in order for them to pay for it, maybe they need to, have some ads. And it's kind of a deal with the devil, I suppose. So maybe you don't want to see those ads. Maybe, just maybe, someone could write a program to de-bloat your Vizio TV. Except there are laws against it. And this has got me thinking. This is just the most outlandish thing because, inside of Vizio TV is a Linux kernel. But you don't own the software. That's supposed to be open source, like GPL2 at the very least. So you get the source code back, and also you can make alterations. That's what that means. But we have a thing called anti-circumvention laws. Now, you could have tools sold to you, for example, where you could make those tools however you wanted to do it, and you would be able to alter your Vizio TV however you saw fit. There are people with John Deere tractors that they can't fix their tractors because they don't own, certain software that's on the tractor. So basically the mechanic can't, service a tractor properly. There's, mechanics who can't diagnose certain cars. The list goes on of some of these anti-circumvention laws. And, honestly, I liken it to Nazism. Quite literally. This is, almost the very definition. Jailbreaking tractors, that would be awesome. Or maybe you could jailbreak printers, insulin pumps, cars, consoles, phones. You name it. This would be awesome. Seriously, folks, I think this is something that we all need to get behind. And if you're into open source, then we need to like create some sort of movement or something like that. But anyway, so I just want to show you kind of how it plays out in Mexico, for example, because they passed some anti-circumvention laws that were passed in the midst of the pandemic lockdowns. And I remember this because basically they called it Ley de Autor, basically prohibited people from even, changing the screen on their cell phone. And that's what they were trying to pass. And Mexico said, no, that's unreasonable. Then there is Canada. Yeah, C-11, this was basically the 2012 anti-circumvention law. And basically, I remember this. It was like a bunch of anti-circumvention proposals from corporations. And what happened was like, it was so restrictive that like 6,200 people wrote in opposition to this proposal. And it didn't matter. The International Chamber of Commerce basically said that they were babyish views of radical extremists. It's kind of like in the United States, like if you wanted paid family leave after the birth of your child or something like this, this polls at like 70%. But we can't get it passed. They're, raising the minimum wage, polls at like 80%. We can't get it passed. And they all call us radical extremists, or maybe you want Medicare for all. And, the simple fact of the matter is it will be cheaper than what we're doing right now. But it's a radical view, according to some politicians. And I'm not trying to make this political by any stretch, but this is just basically what happened. They stuck their stiff middle finger out to the average Joe and basically capitulated to the corporations. And that's exactly what they do all the time. This is what everyone does. They capitulate. It's becoming more and more popular to basically take freedom, take options away from you. What am I talking about? Well, if you take a look at this, Chrome deciding which extensions I'm allowed to enable. F that, Basically, Google Docs Offline is basically it said this extension was turned off because it's no longer supported. Chrome recommends that you remove it. uBlock Origin. Now, why would they want you to not install uBlock Origin? I wonder why. And then you see Microsoft, you see these ads, right? They don't ask you if you want these ads. They tell you. And like it's almost impossible to get rid of them. Apple says to Australians, you're too stupid to choose your own apps, right? You don't get your own choice. So basically, I saw this title. I didn't read the article yet, but it gave me an idea. What if instead of you not being able to change the computer on the John Deere, you just installed a new computer? You wrote what the programs or whatever that you wanted. Or maybe you're a developer, you could write the programs for the computer, offer to install them on John Deere's, like all that stuff that they hate, all that proprietary, spyware, what I call F-ware, because I can't curse on here anymore because I'm monetized. Maybe you could, do something like that. What if we had this for TVs and pretty much every electronic device you could think of, where it was like, okay, you don't like what these billionaires are doing? All right, well, we can write software. Maybe we can change it. I see that as a win-win. We should be able to do that now, right? Maybe? What do y'all think about this whole Vizio thing and seeing ads on, on your TV in your operating system. What do you guys think about that? Let me know. And also, I just want to thank Scrub Ghost and Russell. Thank you for your donations. They are really appreciated. If you would like to consider donating a cup of coffee to me or something like that, become a subscriber or buy a t-shirt. I totally appreciate it. And just have a great rest of your day. And as always, keep it nerdy and techy and that sort of thing. All right? Later, geeks.